So, get this. My husband cheated on me with my own sister. When the truth came out, my family didn't just take her side, they kicked me out of their lives. For 8 years, it was complete radio silence. I basically didn't exist. Then, out of the blue, they popped back up. Not with an apology, not with any regret, but with a demand so insane I almost laughed. They wanted me to give my kidney to the very woman who helped blow up my entire world. Before my life completely imploded, it was perfect. Almost annoyingly so. My husband, Mark, and I had that storybook marriage everyone wants. We were college sweethearts who'd built a great life together. He was my rock. And my sister, Chloe? We were Irish twins, born less than a year apart, and I would have sworn our bond was unbreakable. We shared everything. Our family was that family, you know? Loud, loving, always in each other's business. Or at least, that's what I thought. The betrayal wasn't some big, dramatic reveal. It was more like a slow, creeping sickness. It started with little things. Mark and Chloe having inside jokes I wasn't in on. Him getting sketchy with his phone late at night. Her suddenly acting distant. I brushed it all off, telling myself I was just being paranoid. I mean, who wants to admit the two people you love most could be lying to you on that scale? The whole thing blew up on my 5th wedding anniversary. Mark was supposed to have planned this surprise trip for us, but he had to cancel for a work emergency. Yeah, right. A friend of mine who had no idea what was going on sent me a picture from a local jazz bar she was at. And there they were, tucked away in a booth in the background. Mark and Chloe. His hand was on her knee. They weren't just talking. They had that glow, the kind of intimate vibe you only see with lovers. The confrontation was uglier than I could have ever imagined. Mark didn't even bother denying it. He admitted it had been going on for almost a year. Chloe, my little sister, just stood there sobbing about how she never meant for it to happen. But the absolute worst part was my family's reaction. I expected them to be furious for me. Instead, all I got was a pile of excuses. My own mom, her face all tight with disappointment, told me, "He's still a good man. He just made a mistake." My dad suggested I should be the bigger person to keep the family from falling apart. They actually had a family meeting without me and decided the best thing for everyone was for me to forgive them both. When I said no, that I was filing for divorce, the walls came crashing down. Suddenly, I was unforgiving, cold, and selfish. Chloe was their poor daughter who needed support. Mark was the son-in-law they loved. And me? I was disposable. They chose her. They chose him. And just like that, I was an orphan with a living family. That first year after the divorce was just a fog of lawyers and heartache. I packed up and moved 3 hours away to a city where nobody knew me or my story. The silence from my family was deafening. No birthday calls, no Christmas texts. It was like I had just vanished. Some days, the loneliness felt like a physical weight on my chest, making it hard to breathe. I was completely alone, mourning not just a marriage, but my entire family. But slowly, piece by piece, I started putting my life back together. I poured everything into my job as a landscape architect, and I found a lot of peace in creating beautiful things out of empty spaces. I started hiking, pushing myself until the physical burn drowned out the emotional pain. I found new friends, real friends, who saw me for who I am now, not who I used to be. I built my own chosen family, a hilarious, loyal group of people who have my back no matter what. A few years later, I met David. He was kind and patient, and he saw my scars as a sign of strength. He knew all about my past, and instead of being scared off by it, he respected the hell out of the resilience it took to get through it. We got married on a beautiful, crisp autumn day, surrounded by our chosen family. For the first time in almost a decade, I felt whole again. I had a new life, a happy life, one that I had built myself. The past was just a collection of ghost stories I didn't tell anymore. 8 years after our last conversation, my mother's number flashed on my phone. A ghost from another lifetime. My gut told me to ignore it, but a weird, morbid curiosity made me pick up. Her voice was exactly the same, dripping with that fake sweetness I remembered so well. She didn't apologize or even ask how I'd been. She just made small talk like we'd spoken yesterday, asking about my job and if I was dating anyone. She danced around the real reason for the call for about 10 minutes before she finally dropped it. "We were hoping you could come home for a visit," she said. "There's something we all need to discuss as a family."
Against my better judgment, I agreed. A tiny, stupid part of me hoped that this was it, the apology I'd waited years for. The whole 3-hour drive, my stomach was in knots. I walked into my parents' house, and it was like a time capsule. Nothing had changed. And there, on the couch, were Mark and Chloe. They were married now, I found out. They both looked older, worn down. That glow I saw in the photo all those years ago was long gone, replaced by a kind of tired sadness. The tension in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. My father was the one to finally break the silence. He explained that Chloe's health had been getting worse for years. Her kidneys were failing. She was on dialysis, but it wasn't enough anymore. She needed a transplant, fast. The waiting list was years long, and he said no one in the family was a match. They hadn't found a match through any paired exchange programs either. They'd zeroed in on me. Then my mother looked at me, her eyes filled not with sadness for her daughter, but with this terrifying expectation. "We need you to get tested," she said, her voice totally steady. "You're her sister. You're her best chance." It wasn't a question. It was a command. I just sat there staring at them. I mean, the sheer audacity of it left me speechless. They all just sat there, this united front of toxic entitlement, looking at me like I was a spare parts warehouse they'd forgotten they had a key to. When I finally found my voice, it was surprisingly calm. "Okay, let me get this straight." I started, looking from my mom to my dad, then to Mark, and finally landing on Chloe. "For 8 years I've been dead to you. You sided with the man who broke his wedding vows to me and with my own sister, who helped him do it. You cut me out of your lives without a single hesitation. And now you call me back here, not for an apology, but to ask me to have major surgery and give an organ to the person who built her life on the wreckage of mine." My mother actually flinched. "This isn't the time to hold a grudge," she snapped. "This is about saving your sister's life." "My sister!" I shot back, a bitter laugh escaping. "Where was my sister when I was crying on my apartment floor for a year straight? Where were any of you? You don't get to throw someone away and then show up demanding they literally bleed for you." Mark, my ex-husband, had the nerve to chime in. "She's a different person now," he said, rubbing Chloe's back. "We all make mistakes. We have a family." "I had a family too, Mark," I said, my voice sharp. "And you too destroyed it. The rest of you just sat back and watched it burn." My father stood up then, his face turning red. "You owe us this. After everything we've done for you. What you've done," I cut him off, standing up too, "is show me that your love comes with strings attached. It's a transaction. I was part of the family as long as I was easy and didn't make waves. The second I stood up for myself, the second I refused to sweep your precious daughter's betrayal under the rug, I was out. You don't get to treat someone like they're disposable and then demand a sacrifice this huge." Chloe finally looked at me, tears streaming down her pale face. "Please," she whispered. "I'm scared. I don't want to die." I looked right back at her. "I was scared too, Chloe. I was scared and all alone, and you were one of the people holding the knife. Did you ever think about me?" She just sobbed, no answer. "The answer," I said, my voice echoing in the quiet room, "is no. I will not get tested. I will not give you my kidney. My body is not the solution to a problem you all created." I walked out of that house and didn't look back. The drive home was a total blur. My phone immediately blew up, first with furious texts from my mother calling me a monster, then with messages from extended family who'd obviously been fed a story where I was the villain. I blocked every single one of them, and I felt calm. The girl who desperately wanted her family's approval was gone. In her place was a woman who knew her own worth. A few days later, I got a call from my dad's brother, my uncle. He was always the quiet one. He told me he'd heard what happened. "I just want you to know," he said, his voice heavy, "that you did the right thing. They were wrong then, and they're wrong now. What they asked of you, it's unforgivable." Hearing that was like a balm on a wound I didn't even realize was still so deep. It was the one piece of validation I didn't know I still needed. He also told me that Mark and Chloe's life wasn't as happy as they pretended, that their whole relationship was built on a foundation of guilt and resentment. This whole thing taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about respect, loyalty, and loving someone with no strings attached. When that's gone, blood is just blood. You have every right to protect yourself, to set boundaries, and to walk away from people who only see you as useful, even if you share DNA. Building a peaceful life for yourself is so much more important than trying to hold a toxic family together. What do you think? Was I wrong? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you've got a story about drawing the line with a toxic family, I want to hear it. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories. In the end, I have this profound sense of peace. I don't wish Chloe any harm, but her fate isn't my cross to bear. My responsibility is to myself, to the life I built from the ashes, and to the amazing chosen family who showed me what real love looks like. I saved myself when I walked away 8 years ago, and I saved myself again when I said no. And that's a victory no one can ever take from me.